Hello everyone, welcome to the Royal Variety. I am Lunara, representing the Royal Variety alone again today. And today I am bringing you the first part of my three-part vlog as to why I quit my job and what my new job is. The place to begin would be why I quit my job, and that would be my job at McDonald's is where I used to work. I worked there for 4 years, and at that point, I was already starting to want a change of scenery, get a little tired of it. I grew slowly less satisfied with the job. When I first got the job, I absolutely hated it because I had never worked before, and it made me extremely tired, and I did adjust to it for a while. But eventually, I got over the bell curve to the other side of being tired of it again. And I really was never the right personality type for fast food in the first place. I'm not a fantastic people person. I'm not extremely patient. I mean, I have some patience, clearly, and I have self-control. I certainly never screamed at anybody. But that type of work was extremely stressful on me. I had a very hard time keeping my cool. And while I did a lot of the times, and I was one of the better people, you know those little surveys they do that give you a free whatever when you do the survey? Yeah, one of my main things was getting people to do those, and I gave them some of their highest numbers. But I wasn't happy doing it anymore. And another reason is that my hours got to no longer be what they were supposed to be. They would routinely keep people way over their shift. It was pretty common. I knew it never happened to me personally, but I knew people who've been there at least 2 hours over their shift. And I don't know about you guys, but I plan things. I have stuff to do after work. I was routinely kept often an hour late, and if it had been once in a while, I would not have minded. It wouldn't have bothered me. But when it was routinely every single day, that got to be a big annoyance for me. Especially when, for health reasons, I was only supposed to be working so many hours in my shift, so they would schedule me for that many hours every day, 5 days a week, and then they'd just work me an hour extra every single day. The last straw as to why I quit was an accusation of racism by a customer who, I don't want to explain the whole situation. I was in the wrong a little bit. I did not keep my cool as well as I should have, but she accused me of being a racist. And no, I did not say any sort of racial slur or anything along that lines. I would never do that. But she was convinced that she didn't get perfect treatment, so thus I must be a racist. And I got sent home for that day and almost lost my job. That was the point where I decided that working in fast food was no longer worth it, and I started looking for another job. It took me about 3 months to find another position, and I was tiptoeing every single day, trying not to upset anybody, and I would cry after every shift because I was that stressed out that I might have said the wrong thing to a customer, and they might send in a bad review and get me fired. At that point, I knew that no raise that I had ever been given at that establishment, and I did get a couple, were worth the stress I was going through. And I did not, unfortunately, pull any shenanigans in leaving. I didn't quit in some spectacular way. I just put in my written notice and told my boss I was quitting. And that's the story of why I quit my job. I mean, that was obviously just the cherry on top of the cake of the other three things. And as to the hours being no longer what they agreed, I understand it's fast food and that you've got to help out. But when I did help out for quite a while without complaining. But when it was every single day and I had a health reason to not be working longer than I was, I couldn't do it anymore. It wasn't worth my health. The food was also having a negative impact on my health because we were not allowed to bring in any food of our own to eat. If we had a long enough shift to have a lunch break and you wanted to eat, you had to eat there. So I decided it wasn't worth my mental health or my physical health. And I stayed with it just long enough to find another job. There was an incident where I was nearly hired by another place, and that ended up falling through. And about two or 3 weeks later, something like that, is when I got the job I currently have. I'll be continuing with the almost hired story in the next video. Thank you, everybody, for your attention. Thank you for your views. And I hope you don't hate your job. If you do, do your best to find another job. Love you guys. Goodbye. Thank you.